There are many rumors in the air, but what many can confirm is that the ocean is losing a war it did not start.
Overrun with lionfish in the Sunshine State is trying to eat its way out of the invasion, but now they threaten Florida's underwater ecosystem.
Lionfish are wiping out entire species of fish, and nothing seems to stop them. Not divers, not traps, and certainly not other fish. But nobody expected this to happen. A predator with a 6-foot wingspan just decided to add this toxic fish to its menu. So here is the deal. We are going to look at how a bird from the sky is doing what sharks and groupers have failed to do for 40 years. It is a high-stakes game where the winner gets a meal and the loser ends up in a lab. Venomous ghosts taking over the coast. In nature, the most dangerous creature is not always the strongest one, but the one no one dares to touch. For 40 years, the lionfish has been exactly that kind of creature. Even humans, with all current efforts and modern technology, have only been able to slow it down, not completely eliminate it. However, in the year 2023 at the docks and lagoons of the Florida Keys, divers witnessed something shocking. The bird that makes the United States proud, the bald eagle, dived down, snatched a lionfish, and ate it without hesitation. This is a battle between the predator that rules the sky and the destroyer of the ocean. One thing is certain. Today is going to show you a side of nature you have never seen. What you are seeing is a lionfish. It has long flowing fins and a body covered in stripes of red, yellow, orange, brown, black, or white. Most people see it as beautiful, but not everyone realizes how extremely venomous this species is. It has venomous spines all over its body, on its back, belly, and both sides for a total of 18 spines standing upright like preloaded needles. Small fish that are stabbed become instantly motionless, turning into prey with no chance to escape. Larger fish, such as groupers or stingrays, only need to bite into the spines once to suffer gill damage, breathing difficulties, and will immediately flee the area to avoid another encounter. Some videos show sharks approaching a lionfish and then suddenly changing direction. They can sense danger from a distance. Its venom does not take out humans the way puffer fish poison does. It does not cause instant death, but each spine contains a neurotoxin. This toxin can cause pain so severe that the victim cannot move their hand. The hand can swell to twice its normal size. The pain can spread up to the shoulder, and many people report a sensation described as bones being crushed from the inside. If you are watching this, imagine a needle sting multiplied by 50 times. Then imagine that pain lasting continuously for 24 to 48 hours. In Florida, there have been cases where divers were stung just once and had to be rushed to the emergency room. Their heart rate increased rapidly, breathing became difficult, and doctors recorded mild convulsions caused by toxin shock. And for some victims, they experienced pain so intense that they required strong pain medication just to be able to sleep. Look at what lionfish have done to the ocean in a single day. One lionfish can eat around 50 small fish, functioning like a miniature fish vacuum cleaner. In Jamaica, from 2018 to 2022, coral reefs were covered by algae up to 85% because reef-cleaning fish were completely wiped out by lionfish predation. One reef in the Bahamas lost between 65% and 95% of its native fish in just a few years. Imagine a neighborhood where 9 out of 10 people suddenly disappear and you will understand the impact. In Honduras, fishermen were forced to abandon their livelihoods when small fish populations dropped by 70%. In Florida, plankton and algae exploded in numbers, suffocating nearshore coral reefs. There is one thing that people seem to have overlooked, and I want to repeat it clearly. Lionfish were not born in the Caribbean Sea. They are a product of human actions. In the 1980s, lionfish appeared in the United States only as ornamental fish. They had long fins, vivid colors, and were considered perfect for home aquariums. But everything changed after Hurricane Andrew in 1992 when many saltwater aquariums were destroyed by the storm, allowing the first lionfish to escape into the ocean. Some aquarium hobbyists who no longer wanted to keep them also secretly released lionfish into the sea. Do you know what the worst part is? Lionfish reproduce as if they are trying to take over the entire ocean. A single female can lay 30,000 eggs every 4 days, which equals about 2 million eggs per year. To put this into perspective, a blue whale gives birth to only one calf every 2 to 3 years, while a lionfish releases what is essentially an entire city of babyfish every month. Each egg is wrapped in a protective mucus layer that resists bacteria, predators, and radiation, and it floats on the ocean surface. The Gulf Stream then carries these eggs across distances of 560 to 930 miles from Florida to the Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil, where they still hatch normally. According to the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, the lionfish population grew from 417 individuals in 1985 to more than 70,000 recorded individuals in 2023. This number does not even include thousands of juvenile lionfish hiding at depths of 650 to 1,000 feet where humans can barely reach. Volunteer groups and scientists have tried almost every possible method. They free dive carrying spear guns, taking out lionfish one by one in waters where sunlight still reaches. But once they go deeper than 130 to 160 feet where light disappears, humans become nearly blind. While lionfish continue to operate normally, that is why new technologies have emerged such as robot and remotely operated vehicle systems designed specifically to capture lionfish at greater depths. One example is the Reef Sweeper project, which was designed to remove lionfish while minimizing other catch, and can operate down to about 1,000 feet. In a technical report, the team recorded the removal of more than 1,000 lionfish from deep reefs during a single deployment phase. Capture success rates varied depending on fish density at each survey site. The Eat Lionfish campaign turned lionfish into a food source supported by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and embraced by many restaurants in the United States, Mexico, and the Bahamas. Lionfish meat is tasty, low in bones, and can be served as raw fish or fried until crispy. However, even though the United States and Caribbean countries catch around 20,000 lionfish each year, this number represents only about 1% of the estimated population. In the Lionfish Challenge alone in 2024, 285 divers completed more than 700 dives and brought in 31,773 lionfish. The prize-winning catch by commercial weight reached approximately 1,800 pounds during that season. And since the program began in 2016, the total number of lionfish removed through this challenge has exceeded 195,000 individuals. But the real mystery was just starting to climb into the sky. Avian predator breaking the rules. Now, let us return to the opening moment we mentioned earlier. At a small marina in the Florida Keys, where divers often bring lionfish up to remove their venomous spines, you might wonder why humans are catching them in the first place. The truth is, in most cases, they are not actively hunted. Most lionfish get tangled in fishing nets or are pulled up when divers are cleaning coral reefs. When a lionfish has just been lifted out of the water, its scales reflect the late afternoon sunlight like a sheet of silver glass. And at that exact moment, from a distance, a dark shape rushes in at a speed that freezes everyone in place. It is not a pelican. It is not a seagull. It is a bald eagle. To understand why this scene shocked even marine biologists, you need a clear picture of the animal that appears. The bald eagle has stood on the national emblem of the United States for more than 240 years. Its average weight ranges from 8 to 13 pounds, with a wingspan close to 8 feet, roughly the height of a standard doorway. Its eyesight is so powerful that it can spot fish moving beneath the ocean surface from a distance of 3 miles. Look at its talons. The gripping force can reach 250 to 400 pounds per square inch, strong enough to crush the leg bones of a small deer or pierce the thick skin of a seal pup. More importantly, these talons give the bald eagle a hunting success rate of up to 75%. They have been recorded stealing prey from ospreys, swooping down to snatch fish directly from a seal mouth, and even attacking young sea lions. In Africa, in their close relative, the martial eagle has occasionally been observed capturing lion cubs when they are caught off guard. However, there is one very clear limit. Bald eagles do not dive underwater. and they do not actively attack fish armed with 18 venomous spines like lionfish. This is exactly why biologists had to replay the footage dozens of times. The behavior was too clean, too precise, and too calculated for a bird that normally avoids toxic prey. In the decisive moment, the eagle does not dive into the water the way it does when hunting salmon. Instead, it waits. It watches every movement of both the diver and the fish. When the lionfish touches the water surface, and its venomous spines can no longer flare upward, the eagle strikes like a steel arrow in just 0.2 seconds, faster than a phone camera can fully capture. Its talons clamp onto the soft flesh of the body, completely avoiding the spines. It tears away a single piece of meat, leaves the head and venomous fins behind on the boat, and flies off as witnesses stand frozen in disbelief. To be completely honest, this did not happen just once. Multiple videos from 2023 through 2024 show bald eagles returning again and again to marinas in Key Largo, Islamorada, and Marathon as if they had learned the pattern. Even ospreys, a closely related species, have begun copying the behavior, snatching lionfish. The bald eagles do not eat lionfish because of a hunting instinct. More accurately, bald eagle feeding behavior revolves around one fixed principle: spending the least amount of energy to obtain the most food. This completely contradicts the image of a powerful predator that we often see on the national emblem or in nature documentaries. In reality, for decades, observers have noted that bald eagles prefer to wait for opportunities rather than actively hunt. In Alaska, dozens of eagles have been recorded gathering around seasonal salmon carcasses, competing for scraps instead of plunging into freezing rivers to catch live fish. In the Great Lakes region, they often chase ospreys carrying fish and force them to drop their prey into the water. Some rare videos even show bald eagles scavenging deer found on the road. Something many people did not believe until they saw it with their own eyes. That is why a lionfish pulled up to the surface, stripped of its defensive ability and unable to use its 18 venomous spines, becomes a gift from the sky for a bald eagle. But wait, what about the venom? Even if the lionfish cannot actively inject venom, the toxin is still present. In an in-depth analysis published by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in 2024, researchers reported that a bald eagle stomach has an acid level ranging from 1.3 to 1.5, which is about 60 to 100 times stronger than the acid in the human stomach. Meanwhile, lionfish venom is primarily protein-based, made of amino acid chains that can be broken down rapidly in a highly acidic environment combined with the specialized digestive enzymes of carnivorous birds. In other words, bald eagles are already accustomed to digesting toxic material. They regularly consume decomposing carcasses, including dead fish, dead snakes, and even dead birds. Many disease-causing bacteria found on carcasses can infect humans through simple contact. Yet, bald eagles are nearly immune thanks to their powerful digestive system and a food processing speed that is 80 to 100 times faster than that of the human body. In addition, the way bald eagles handle lionfish clearly reflects their efficient survival mindset. Slow-motion footage shows that they never bite areas with spines. Instead, they target the belly where the flesh is exposed and free of venomous spines. Once they lock onto the target, they yank hard to tear off a single piece of meat, leaving behind the head and dorsal fins. If you have ever seen a bald eagle eat salmon, this movement will look very familiar. They always tear flesh from the body while avoiding sharp bones. By the way, this behavior is not widespread across the entire species. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has confirmed that they have documented only about 12 independent videos of bald eagles eating lionfish at Marathon, Key Largo, Islamorada, and Big Pine Key. This number is far too small to consider it an evolutionary behavior at the species level. The agency also emphasized that there is no evidence bald eagles actively hunt lionfish in the wild, nor do they consider lionfish a primary food source. Nobody expected that feeding these monsters would backfire so badly. Dangerous games with apex predators. Bald eagles do not eat only lionfish. In fact, if you look across Florida as a whole, you will see that they have quietly been feeding on several other invasive fish species as well, but always under the same conditions. the prey is near the surface, injured, stranded, dying, or already pulled up by humans. One of the clearest examples is invasive tilapia. In Florida, especially around Orlando and Lake Okeechobee, Mozambique tilapia and Nile tilapia have become what many locals call underwater weeds. They reproduce extremely fast, tolerate polluted water, and push native species out of their habitats. During years when sudden cold stress events occur and water temperatures drop below roughly 50 to 54 degrees Fahrenheit, thousands of tilapia die and float belly up along canals and lake shores. During these events, cameras operated by fishermen and local residents have captured many scenes of bald eagles landing and picking up dead or dying fish, one by one, as if cleaning up a free buffet. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission has also recorded that bald eagles regularly feed on tilapia carcasses washed ashore after cold spells, to the point where some residents are used to the idea that after a cold snap, the eagles come to eat fish. Then there is the invasive suckermouth armored catfish, often called pleco, a species with bony armor plates like a suit of armor, and commonly described as a rock-clinging monster in Florida canals. With such hard external plating, bald eagles are almost incapable of eating a healthy live pleco. However, when plecos die and float or are pulled up during canal cleanups, bald eagles have been filmed using their beaks to tear open the belly area, where the skin is thinner and softer, eating the flesh inside while leaving behind the armor and fins. At lakes in central Florida, such as Lake Ida and Lake Osborne, anglers sometimes catch another invasive species with a very distinctive appearance, an elongated silver body, and a tail curved like a blade. Videos shared by fishing enthusiasts show that when these fish are left near the shoreline or on grassy banks, bald eagles or ospreys often arrive shortly afterward, pick them up, and carry them away. Some local ecological reports have warned that this species is strongly competing with native fish, and that eagles removing part of the population may act as a small but real new form of natural pressure. When viewed as a whole, a very clear pattern emerges. Bald eagles are not stepping in to solve invasive species problems. They are simply taking advantage of whatever humans or weather have already pushed to the surface. Now, let us return to lionfish. Even if bald eagles can eat a few individuals, that number is insignificant compared to the lionfish population in Florida, which is estimated to have exceeded 140,000 fish in shallow waters alone. Even if eagles help themselves to a few lionfish each day, it is like trying to bail out the ocean with a teaspoon. So the idea of humans catching lionfish and feeding them to eagles to reduce the population may sound amusing, but in reality, it is completely impractical because the reproductive speed of lionfish can replace the number removed in just a few days. So what if humans could train another marine predator, one that lives underwater and can eat far more than eagles? That sounds promising, right? In fact, this was already attempted. And as we all know, not every human intervention produces positive results. One of the clearest lessons took place from 2015 to 2017 across several Caribbean islands, where a group of divers tested an idea that sounded simple, but turned out to be extremely dangerous: teaching sharks to eat lionfish. They believed that if sharks became accustomed to lionfish meat, they could act as natural predators and help reduce the invasive population. The plan began with divers feeding sharks lionfish that had been collected during dives. But after only a few weeks, the consequences became obvious. Sharks began ignoring coral reefs where they normally hunt small fish, and instead started following divers whenever they saw bubbles. In some areas, sharks even learned to swim directly behind divers, waiting for them to pull lionfish out of mesh bags to claim their share. This behavior was not only dangerous, but also altered the natural hunting patterns of the shark, a form of behavioral invasion that biologists did not want under any circumstances. The economic consequences arrived quickly as well. In the Bahamas and Belize, the number of reported shark incidents involving divers increased noticeably compared to previous years. Many tourism operators were forced to cancel diving tours due to legal liability concerns. Several incidents were not fatal, but they were serious enough to cause the local diving industries to lose millions of United States dollars over 2 consecutive tourism seasons. In the end, many islands were forced to issue strict bans. Feeding sharks any type of fish was prohibited, especially lionfish. Regulatory agencies described the experiment as a costly lesson because in trying to solve one invasive species problem, humans unintentionally created a new form of invasion. A behavioral invasion by changing how sharks interact with people. While humans are still struggling to find solutions, nature itself has begun to show the first signs that native species are starting to learn how to deal with lionfish. More precisely, the victims of lionfish have adapted, and they have begun to strike back. The first species that truly caught the attention of biologists is the giant Goliath grouper. Adult individuals commonly weigh between 330 and 550 pounds, and the largest specimen ever recorded in Florida weighed nearly 800 pounds. Their mouths are so large that they can swallow an entire lionfish measuring 12 to 14 inches in length in a single gulp. But nature has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. Balanced future for the blue reef. The structure of the Goliath grouper oral tissue is extremely thick and elastic. According to research by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the average thickness of their mouth tissue measures between 0.4 and 0.6 inches, enough to significantly reduce the risk of venomous spines penetrating through. In 2020, a research team from the Marine Research Foundation on the island of Roatan, Honduras, captured a rare scene on video. A Goliath grouper, more than 5.5 feet long and weighing about 400 pounds, silently approached and swallowed a live lionfish in less than 1 second. This was not a dead fish, not an injured fish, and not one thrown by humans. It was the first scientific evidence showing that a native predator had actively overcome lionfish venom underwater. The second group showing clear behavioral change is Caribbean reef sharks. They do not yet hunt lionfish entirely on their own in fully natural conditions, but they frequently eat lionfish that are pulled up by divers during removal campaigns. From 2015 to 2023, the diver organization Reef recorded more than 70 incidents of sharks approaching divers to demand lionfish. Notably, sharks have also learned to recognize the sound of spear guns underwater. When they hear the sharp click, it means a lionfish has been taken out. Loggerhead sea turtles are not staying out of this trend either. The bite force of a loggerhead turtle, measured using the bite force meter, reaches between 800 and 900 pounds per square inch, strong enough to crush stone crab claws and shells with a thickness of 0.04 to 0.08 inches. Over the past 3 years, divers in the Florida Keys have recorded nearly 20 instances of loggerhead turtles feeding on distracted lionfish on reefs. This is important because it proves that lionfish venomous fins are not an impenetrable barrier. Loggerheads are powerful enough to break the fin structure without being pierced by spines in the soft tissue around the mouth. Finally, there are moray eels. This species has a natural advantage, a long, flexible body, and the ability to strike with precision inside narrow rock crevices. In Curacao and Roatan, many independent divers have reported moray eels hunting juvenile lionfish under 4 inches in length, the stage when their spines are still soft and venom levels have not yet reached their maximum. Some videos show morays biting repeatedly 2 to 3 times, then dragging the lionfish into a crevice to swallow it gradually. All of these examples point to one clear conclusion. Nature has begun to respond. No species has turned lionfish into a primary food source, but each small behavior acts like a step on a ladder, a slow, cautious, but steady evolutionary process. In conclusion, although lionfish are still dominating many coral reefs across the Caribbean, the small signals coming from bald eagles, Goliath groupers, loggerhead turtles, and moray eels point to one important truth. Nature does not stand still and take the hit. It reacts, experiments, and sometimes finds new paths that humans never anticipated. However, we must also acknowledge a hard reality. Relying on nature alone is not enough. With their extremely rapid reproduction rate, lionfish can replace the entire number removed by humans in just a few days. If the situation is ever going to be turned around, future solutions will have to combine science such as reef sweeper robots, environmental DNA technology, and artificial intelligence systems that track movement patterns. With the support of these natural allies that are slowly adapting, the big question is this: will nature one day be able to restore balance on its own? Or will humans have to create the final breakthrough? The world is watching to see who wins this war. Can nature truly fix the mess humans made? Or are we just waiting for a total collapse? Comment your thoughts below, like this video, and subscribe for more deep dives.